So now I'm on this busier street and I'm trying to stay on the right side of the road, which is the left side of the road. The left side of the road is the right side of the road. The left side of the road is the correct side of the road. Hey friends, Sheila here. I am a nutritionist and nature lover, and I am currently cycling and eating my way through Scotland. My first stop on my trip in Scotland was Edinburgh. Beautiful, historical Edinburgh. Now, before I start the story, I need to preface this with the fact that Edinburgh is a great city for cycling. There are some off-road designated cycle paths, there are a lot of cycle paths on the road, and there are also a lot of sections where it's kind of like a cycle and bus lane. So you aren't cycling with cars, you're only cycling with buses, which can be a little nerve-wracking at first, especially because there are a lot of double-decker buses. From my experience, they were all really good, like extra cautious about looking for me when they saw me behind and next to them and in front. They were always kind of aware of me. So on the whole, full marks for Edinburgh for cycling. My experience cycling Edinburgh for the first time was due purely to me, not to Edinburgh. So in order to get my bike to Edinburgh from Canada, I box it all up, I fly it over, I get it all put back together, I feel pretty good about it. I go over to the bike store across the street, which was Leith Cycles. Shout out to Leith Cycles, love them, they were great. Go over there because I need to pick up a few things, and while I'm there, I ask them if they have any ideas about places that I should go in the area. And I said to them, I was like, I'm a little nervous about being on my bike for the first time in Edinburgh. Do you have any recommendations for places that are a little quieter? And they gave me some great recommendations, like, okay, perfect. So I get outside, I'm in the bike lane, I'm all ready to go, I got my foot on my pedal, I stand down, and I fully just almost wipe out. Like right in front of a bunch of people waiting for a bus. And I just like look at my bike and I'm like, it's normal, I'm just gonna fix this, everything's fine. So I like walk over to the side, get on my tools, and I just put my seat on too high. And it's a newer bike for me. I've been training on my like old commuter bike in the city. So I just need some time to get used to it. So instead of going this lovely curated path the bike store put together for me, I just start going around in circles on like these side streets, just like getting comfortable, which is perfect. But I'm not entirely sure where I am. And I'm just like, whatever, I'll go with it. I find like a busier street. I'm like, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for the busier street. So I get out onto the street, and let's all bear in mind that Canada and Scotland drive on the opposite sides of the road. And even as a pedestrian, I was having so much trouble. Like all my reflexes had me looking the wrong way. Like I'd look and be like, perfect, and go to walk and be like, nope, it's the other side. That's where the cars are coming from. It's this weird learning curve for your brain. But luckily, my taxi driver when I got to Edinburgh was the loveliest man, and he gave me a great tip, which was just always keep the curb on your left-hand side. So if you're turning left, you're turning right, you're going straight, whatever, the curb should always be on your left-hand side. I was like, that is brilliant. And that served me so well because the streets in Edinburgh and all over Scotland really can be on the narrow side. So sometimes a car might seem like it's coming right at you. I'm like, I'm on the wrong side of the road. Then I look down and be like, no, I'm in the right spot. They're gonna move. It's fine. And sure enough, they'd move back onto the other side of the road and everything is fine. But even though I knew this, it still is so nerve-wracking. So now I'm on this busier street and I'm trying to stay on the right side of the road, which is the left side of the road. The left side of the road is the right side of the road. The left side of the road is the correct side of the road. So I'm on the left side of the road and I'm just starting to get used to that. And I get to an intersection and I look, and the lights are all in a slightly different place than they are in Canada. In Ontario, it's like the lights are straight up in front of you and they're usually high and there's like two of them. But in Scotland, they're lower and there isn't necessarily two. Sometimes there'll just be one that's over here kind of like angled at you. But every time I get to an intersection, I'd be like, is that my light? Is there a different light? I don't know which light is my light. Then the street signs, right, in Ontario, they're like always on like a post, like a post with like two signs. But here, which totally makes sense because they have a lot of older buildings that are kind of like flush to the road, the signs are all in the buildings. But I did not realize that at first. I'd be like looking at all the posts and I'd be like, are there any street signs? And like eventually I figured out that they're in the buildings. But then on top of that, maybe because it's an older city, the street names change a lot. So like you might be riding along a street for just like 5 minutes and it'll have changed names 3 times, which is fine for me most of the time because I couldn't really find the signs anyway, so I didn't even know what street I was on. zone. Now, the one thing that's a little more unique to Edinburgh that you need to contend with is the cobblestones. And if I was smarter and I did my research, I could have just avoided streets with cobblestones, but because I wasn't entirely sure where I was going, and I was basically deciding where I was going by what street I felt like biking down, like I'd look and be like, that looks like a good street to bike on, I kind of accidentally ended up in like a big cobblestone area. So I'd be going over cobblestones, trying to stay on the left side of the road, can't really see what street sign I'm looking at, not too sure on the light system, but just trusting that everything was gonna work out and just keep finding your way. This is your first day, everything's gonna make sense eventually. So I'm biking along, basically making it up as I go along, and I just suddenly end up out at this beach called Portobello Beach, and it's beautiful. There's people out tanning and reading and walking, and it was just this wonderful reminder after I had just spent this time just kind of in the back of my mind being like, do you even know how to cycle? To then come to this beautiful beach, to have gotten there by bike relatively fast, or what could have been fast if I had known where I was going. It was just such a good reminder of why I decided to do this trip by bike, because you really can get to the most beautiful places, and even if I did struggle, I know that I will keep finding beautiful places with my bike, and I'm super excited about that. So if you are thinking about cycling in Edinburgh, I highly recommend it. Like I said, really good city on the whole for cyclists. Edinburgh is so beautiful. It was so hard for me to leave. I climbed Arthur's Peak, which is super close to the city center and was gorgeous. I went over to the Crags, which are these super cool cliffs. I went on a walking tour of Old Town, which has so much history. I went walking through Newtown, which has beautiful Georgian homes and this super cool river and just so many beautiful old buildings. All of Edinburgh is beautiful. It is a great place to cycle. It's a great place to walk. There is just so much to see. I hope you have a chance to go there. And if you do, just remember, driving and cycling happens on the left side of the road. So if you're cycling or driving, stay on the left side of the road. And if you're walking, just look both ways, all the ways. Stay safe. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. It really supports my channel. And if you want to be notified whenever I put out new videos, hit subscribe and the little bell below. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you are having a beautiful day. See you soon. Bye.